the Chinese economy weigh on our outlook. For many countries, the inflation remains the primary focus. But as the inflationary pressures continue to ease, especially in our economy, the global policy focus will increasingly shift to managing other risks to growth, such as the climate change, high debt sustainability, among others. The latest World Economic Outlook report indicates that global growth is projected to drop slightly to 3.2% in 2024 from 3.3% last year, before then recovering back to 3.3% in 2025. In the advanced economies, growth is projected at 1.7% in 2024 before rebounding to 1.8% in 2025. Several global factors pose risks to the outlook. Monetary policy regimes could remain tight for an extended period due to persistent inflation. We also are expecting heightened geopolitical tensions in the Middle East to continue, and the risks which are associated with the Ukraine-Russia war and possible escalation in geopolitical politics could add to energy costs, disrupt international trade, and slow global growth. Now, coming back to emerging economies, actually the emerging economies have contributed a lot to the general growth in the world economy, especially the growth in the Indian economy. In the emerging markets and developing economies, growth is projected to remain stable at 4.3% in 2024 through to 2025 from a growth rate of 4.4% in 2023. So a slight drop there. When we come back to the sub-Saharan continent or African region, growth is projected to remain moderate at 3.7% in 2024 and possibly jumping to 4.1% in 2025. Kenyan economy is not immune to the global developments, and the combination of elevated inflation and high interest rates has resulted in lower growth over the past year. We are all aware that the interest rates have remained relatively high. In a bid to manage our inflation, our central bank has maintained the base lending rates at a relatively high rates, which has resulted to slower growth because the private sector is not accessing loans and finances as would be expected. Our growth has been supported by strong agricultural and manufacturing activities underpinned by favorable weather conditions, strong service sector and macroeconomic environments, ongoing public infrastructure investments, especially in the housing sector, and sustained business confidence. The economy is expected to grow by 5.5% in 2025 as compared to 5.6% in 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, for the financial year 2025-2026, and the medium-term budget is being framed and prepared within the context I have just highlighted. The budget will also be anchored on the fourth medium-term plan, MTP4 of the Vision 2030, and continue to support the implementation of the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. This will be achieved through continued implementation of a growth-responsive fiscal consolidation plan designed towards slowing down public debt without compromising service delivery. And our focus will remain the five pillars of the better with the largest impact on the economy and household welfare. And these are agriculture transformation or agricultural transformation. As I mentioned, mentioned earlier in other fora, we must look at agriculture as a means to achieve an end, not agriculture or agricultural growth as an end in itself. We must have agriculture to support manufacturing if we have to realize significant growth. So agricultural transformation, number 2 is micro, small, and medium enterprises or MSME economy, housing and settlement. Number 4 is healthcare, and lastly, the digital superhighway and creative economy. Further, the government will work towards ensuring responsible economic management to support economic inclusion and empowerment, broadening opportunities and promoting equity, attracting investment in key sectors like improving health and education outcomes by increasing access to healthcare and all levels of education and investing in priority skills. In this regard, the sector working groups will be required to undertake a thorough review of the proposed budgets and prioritize allocations accordingly towards improving productivity and achievement of MTP4 objectives. I'm emphasizing this because the recent challenges we have faced as a country is as a result of not paying serious attention to productivity or using budget to promote productivity. That has slowed down employment creation and has also affected inclusivity or inclusion. So we must, as we work in our sector working groups, ensure that the priority areas which would help in enhancing productivity are given more attention as opposed to other expenditures. So, ladies and gentlemen, the medium-term fiscal framework will be premised on the following assumptions. Number 1 is real GDP growth of 5.5% in 2025 and over the medium term. 2, inflation to be maintained within the target range of plus or minus 2.5% or 5%. We are currently within that range perfectly well, so we need to maintain that. Our interest rates to ease downwards and foreign exchange rates to remain stable over the medium term. Total revenue to improve gradually to reach about 7% of the GDP in the financial year 25-26 and over the medium term even to reach 20%. Total expenditure to decrease to below 21.5% of our GDP in financial year 25-26. So as you work in your sector working groups, bear in mind that our total expenditure must be maintained at below 21.5% of our GDP in the financial year 25-26 and over the medium term in line with our fiscal consolidation policy. Ladies and gentlemen, the implementation of the financial year 24-25 budget has commenced in earnest. However, it is important to note that following the withdrawal of the 2024 finance bill, the government has had to forego additional revenue measures. We are therefore implemented measures aimed at aligning our priorities with the available resources. That is why we came up with the supplementary budget 1 at a very early stage to cut on expenditures, to reduce expenditure in line with the projected revenue collection. And I want to speak to the accounting officers. Please take note that Treasury will not support any additional expenditures, especially in areas like austerity, foreign travel, domestic travel, conferences. Please don't bring any request to Treasury for adjustments in those lines. They will not be approved. So to avoid disappointment and cursing the CS Treasury, please just operate within the budget you have. However difficult it is, just assume you are in your house and you earn a salary of 12,000, and that's what you have to survive with until the end of the month. Unless you want to go to a Shylock to get more money, where will you get additional expenditure? So, Treasury will not support additional expenditures. But, and this is the right time to say it, we must look for ways of managing the 2024-25 budget. I call it managing because we are barely managing the 2024-25 budget. Chair Budget Committee, I'm sure you agree with me. We are barely managing. This is not where we wanted to be, but we are here. The Finance Bill 2024, for the first time, a finance bill was lost in this country, and we are all aware. But legislation cannot stop. Legislation will always take place. So long as you do it with transparency, so long as you do it in a manner which respects the people's welfare, you will always come up with legislations. So by tomorrow you will see an advert. I will be issuing a circular tomorrow inviting the public's participation to submit proposals on some legislative reforms to improve our current economic situation. We are giving Kenyans up to 20th of this month to talk to us. Kenyans from all walks of life. But more particularly, I would want to hear from professional bodies, private sector players, other stakeholders, the general public, the mamambogas, the fisher folk along Lake Victoria. I want to hear your opinion, and so tomorrow, be vigilant. You will see that advert, kindly respond. And then we will come up with legislative proposals which would help us not only manage the 2024-25 budget, but would go a long way in improving our economic situation for the future. We cannot continue to remain where we are. The chair budget has just told you, our intention as a country was to have a budget deficit of 597 billion. But now, we have a budget deficit of 767 billion, which is 170 billion more than what we had planned to have to realize and actualize a policy of fiscal consolidation. And we are doing it at a time when we are struggling to debt service the debt that we have already. So, probably where I disagree a bit with the chair budget is that the money we are paying to service the debt is not disappearing in thin air. It is money we are paying for commitments, for money that we used before in this country. Whether we misused it, that is our indiscipline and bad manners. We should not blame the people who gave us the money. It is upon us to make sure that we pay back. We must pay our debts. We have no issue. We have no two ways about it. There is no debt restructuring in this country. We will not accept it. We will not do it. We will manage our debts and pay and remain afloat. I think I don't want to overemphasize that. Let me proceed. I don't like written speeches because a number of times it puts you in a very awkward situation because you want to complete reading it and you have taken so much time, people are getting bored, so you don't know what to do with it. But please indulge me so that I can complete this. And especially given that this is my maiden one. Don't you think I should do the best? Yeah, so having got your approval, let me proceed. I don't know where I left, but what I should have said next was that, but where I left before I digressed was that we came up with rationalization, budget rationalization. So the next word should have been then, if I didn't digress, that this included rationalization of operational and development budget while protecting key social spending in education, health, and social protection. And you'll realize that we really protected expenditure on education. We have even enhanced expenditure on education to cater for the new funding of universities and to meet the CBA for teachers and other expenditure in education ministry. I wish to urge MDS to ensure that the areas targeted for austerity measure in government, in fact, that's why I don't like written speech. I'm not urging. Yeah? I'm actually directing MDS to ensure that the areas targeted for austerity in government are sustained during budget implementation. I spoke to that. We also acknowledge that a country's sustainability and economic growth depends on its ability to generate revenues to finance its development. The importance of domestic resource mobilization as a key driver of the development agenda is thus well established. And that is what I've spoken to. And just to emphasize again that we must make sure that KRA is reformed to collect more. The reforms are already underway. The National Treasury has developed the medium-term revenue strategy to enhance domestic revenue mobilization over the medium term. The strategy will guide tax administration to improve efficiency in the administration of tax laws, create tax rates that will enhance compliance, and build the tax base. I will surprise you. In the medium term, we want to reduce tax rates. We are not thinking of increasing tax rates. We are going to reduce VAT in the medium term from 16% to about 14%. We want to reduce other taxes, including corporation tax or corporate tax, from 30 to 25%, and even pay as you earn. This is the strategy. The thinking of the Treasury is not to increase the tax rate, is to reduce it. The strategy will strengthen the policy dimension towards fiscal consolidation process with a target to achieve the East African Community convergence criteria of fiscal deficit of 3% of GDP. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish to reaffirm our commitment to further reform public finance management to enhance efficiency, accountability, and prudence. And that is where now, accounting officer, please be alert. If you have been dozing over my presentation, now wake up a bit, because this is now where I need you. This is where I need your help. Yeah? Enhancing efficiency, accountability, and prudent use of resources. This will include implementing an end-to-end e-government procurement system aimed at enhancing transparency and accountability in procurement, as well as maximizing value for money. I know many people don't want this, but it must happen. The system, I'm told, needed 560 million. PS Treasury. That money must be made available. We must implement, and the money that we will save by bringing discipline in procurement process is much, much way above the 560 million we need to get this system. So this system must be rolling from January. Yeah? So there will be no excuses, no piloting anymore. We are piloting now. The system is currently undergoing piloting. That was the next word written for me here, but it's also in my head. In readiness for rollout to all MDS, including county governments, governor, UG governor, all the entire government, national 48, end-to-end procurement process. This broken system must just stop. To further strengthen management of public resources, we are in the process of transitioning from cash to accrual basis to improve cash management and enhance financial and fiscal reporting. That I mentioned. The accrual accounting will enable the government to account for all its assets and liabilities, including all government assets. At the moment, the government assets, nobody knows the value of land, buildings, whatever assets. No one can with certainty tell us this is what Kenya government has in terms of assets. So we are moving to that. Liabilities. Look at your pending bills. It's usually an appendage in the financial statement. It is for disclosure. It is going to form part Any debt that you have will form part of our statements so that we can know whether Kenyan should be auctioned or liquidated or not. I have in this regard constituted a multi-agency task force team, which is headed by the Principal Secretary in the National Treasury to guide the rollout of this initiative. So Chris Kipto is in charge. We have also initiated reforms geared towards automating assets and inventory management in MDS as well as county government. When I was chairing Public Accounts Committee, the accounting officers, you know, the biggest challenge we had was this accounting for our assets. Yeah, you kept on saying, we are in the process, but we don't have money to do it. Treasury has not released money. Now that excuse will not be there anymore. The Public Accounts Committee chair will be enjoying holidays. Towards this end, we will soon be operationalizing the assets and inventory management modules in our IFMIS with a module for all MDS. This will enable the government to have full visibility of all assets and inventory and facilitate optimal assets utilization and ensure idle and unserviceable assets are disposed in conformity with existing legal requirements. In the recent past, Kenyans across the country have demanded for more accountability and prudence and value for money in the use of public resources. In view of this, accounting officers should ensure that all expenditure made by your respective MDS is lawful and authorized. In addition, public spending should be effective, meet the objectives, should be efficient, economical, and transparent. If you have to do a 10-kilometer road, first of all, that road should exist, effective. If it exists, has it been done properly? Efficiency. If it is done properly, did you get the lowest cost for it? Economy. And finally, how did you get there? Is everyone convinced that you are fair to everybody, including contractors? Transparency. You are therefore reminded to provide information on any fraud, losses, or any violation of public finance management laws and give explanation for the actions you are taking or taken to prevent a similar problem in the future. We remain committed to ensuring strong governance to achieve this objective. In this regard, the government has prioritized proper and effective functioning of the Office of the Auditor General, and the Office of the Auditor General is here, the Office of the Controller of Budgets, Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, as well as the judiciary and all the players in the administrative justice value chain. But let's not reach here. Let's not go to judiciary. Let's not go to Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. Don't wait for Auditor General to discover that things are not running well in your department. Do it yourself and do a report on the actions you are taking so that we can see that your department is improving. Ladies and gentlemen, as you are aware, we have established a pending bills verification committee to carry out a thorough analysis of all pending bills for the period 1st July 2005 to 30th June 2022 and formulate measures to stop accumulation of pending bills going forward. The committee is expected to complete its work and submit a report by October 2024, which is just a month away. This report will inform the measures to be undertaken within the fiscal framework. I also wish to remind accounting officers to ensure that expenditure carryovers from financial year 23-24 budget are treated as first charge on financial year 24-25 budget and accommodated within the approved budgetary provision for MDS without seeking for additional funding as guided in Treasury Circular number 10 of 2024. You know what I'm talking about. This provision is in the PFM Act, but accounting officers for one reason or another don't follow it. You pay new bills, you forget about the old bills, I don't know why. So make sure that all the pending bills from 23-24 are settled as first charge. As we commence the preparation of the next budget, I am aware of the challenges we are currently facing as a country. These include less than ideal revenue performance, escalation in our public debt and debt servicing, expenditure carryovers and accumulation of pending bills, as well as increased requirements for funding priority interventions. These continue to exert pressure on limited resources. And as Honorable Ndindi Nyoro told you, we carried over 218 billion we didn't settle in the previous financial year. We only factored in about 68 billion in the current year's budget. The remaining amount remain pending bills, so you must try to accommodate them within your budget, the budget of your MDS. The money that we carried over for the county government, the 30 billion, we settled it. But, but the governor is right that we have not made payment for July, August, and maybe now September. And countries are almost grinding to a halt. I want to speak first Parliament. They should fast track the passage of CARA. But Governor, for your comfort, I've just sought opinion of the Attorney General today to agree with us that we can make advance payments to counties. There are divided opinion whether we should do that or not. But I think if we don't, counties are going to grind to a halt. And I don't think that would be good for this country. So let me wait for the opinion of the Attorney General, then we can act appropriately. In view of this, the government will continue to pursue a fiscal consolidation policy with the overall aim of reducing fiscal deficit and debt accumulation. The strategy focuses on enhancing domestic revenue mobilization, rationalization, and prioritization of expenditures while safeguarding priority government programs and social spending. The government will further entrench the adopted zero-based budgeting approach in the preparation of the financial year 2025, 2026, and future budgets. Zero-based budgeting. From this year, we are not going to assume you have been spending this much, so we can add you. We are moving away from incremental budgeting to zero-based. You start afresh. Explain every expenditure, every coin that you are going to ask for, you will have to explain. This will curtail misallocation of resources inherent in incremental approach and eliminate unnecessary costs associated with inefficiency and duplication in public spending. To implement zero-based budgeting, the National Treasury has developed the budget costing tool in the IFMIS budget module for the national government, which has incorporated standardized costing methodologies to streamline calculation of budget baselines and prioritization to give credible base for preparation of budget estimates. So there is a tool for you. I therefore expect that sector working groups will ensure that all expenditure items in the financial year 25-26 budget are justified and emphasis is placed on allocating the limited resources based on program efficiency and requirement rather than incremental budgeting. Ladies and gentlemen, the government is operating under constrained fiscal environment. In view of this, prioritization during resource allocation will be critical in ensuring low priority expenditures are dropped or deferred to give way to high priority service delivery programs. Therefore, sector working groups should eliminate wastage expenditures and pursue priorities which are aimed at safeguarding livelihoods, creating jobs, reviving businesses, and economic recovery in general. So sector working groups should therefore redirect resources to these areas. Number one, programs that enhance value chain and linkage to better priorities. Two, foster implementation of government priorities emphasized through presidential directives and cabinet decisions. Three, completion of ongoing projects, stalled projects, and payments of verified pending bills. Four, programs that support mitigation and adaptation of climate change. We can't run away now from climate change. It is the talk of the world. And finally, furtherance and implementation of our Constitution. So those are the key areas that you should pay attention to. Public participation, ladies and gentlemen, is also an integral part of our public finance management system. Article 201 of the Constitution and Section 35(2) of the Public Finance Management Act makes it a mandatory requirement in the design of public goods and services and the associated spending. It is in view of the importance attached to public participation that the National Treasury and economic planning during the preparation of 2024-25 and the medium-term budget conduct and elaborate countrywide stakeholder engagement on the budget process. I wish to ask sector working groups to ensure that the medium-term priorities arising from this process are considered and prioritized in the preparation of the financial year 25-26 and the medium-term budget. I wish to emphasize that the National Treasury will ensure it fulfills its legal mandate in ensuring a more participatory approach in the management of our financial matters. In equal measure, I also wish to urge sector working groups to embrace meaningful participation during this process by identifying and engaging stakeholders to obtain input during the budget preparation process. Ladies and gentlemen, the Constitution and the Public Finance Management Act requires timely preparation of key policy documents and bills for approval by Cabinet and Parliament. In this regard, accounting officers are expected to strictly follow the schedule of activities outlined in the budget calendar provided in the Treasury Circular number 11 of 2024. Finally, and I thank God it is final, I just want to assure you that my office remains open to consultations and new ideas that will add value to the process. This should not be the last engagement with the sector working groups. The National Treasury and Economic Planning will also be available to provide the necessary support required throughout the process. And with those many remarks, ladies and gentlemen, it is now my humble duty to officially launch the budget preparation process for the financial year 25-26 and the medium term. Thank you very much.
Thank you, CS. I think he deserves more than that. Can we give him another applause? Thank you. I think we are fully launched to progress. CS, National Treasury, sir, we want to move into another small session, a session where you will be unveiling the critical documents that will be used by the sectors in terms of preparing the budget, including the document that Governor Anwe Guru mentioned that we jointly prepared with the counties, which is the county budget manual. We have the national government budget manual. We also have, in a form of a booklet, the guidelines that you issued last month that guide the preparation of this process. Before I request you and the team that is on the I table to get to the unveiling booth, allow me just to say a few things about this process. One, CS, you may wish to note that the two documents have been prepared using the internal capacity that exists in government, both at the county and the national government. Of course, we did borrow quite a lot from the region. And in this regard, we also did bring some technical assistance from our partners, development partners, the IMF, East Africa. We did receive a lot of support in terms of printing the documents that you are going to launch CS from our development partners, and in particular JICA. And I want to take this opportunity to really appreciate JICA for coming in and supporting government, with, of course, focus being building that capacity at the county government. I also want to mention that JICA also did commit that they would support the national government, that is the National Treasury, to work with the counties in terms of building the capacity of the county PFM staff in this process. Having said that, CS, it is now my pleasure to request you and the team seated on the I table to walk down to the unveiling booth. There is I hope there is a mobile mic. I want to walk down and speak from down there. Do we have a mobile microphone? The team that is guiding us. If not, then can I ask this one? Yeah, it is now my pleasure to welcome the CES and the team that is at the podium to come down to the unveiling booth. Let's clap for them as they walk down so that we can give them some bit of push. CES, I was told to ask you to stand here, and I'll be counting from 1 to 10, and when I get to 10, you will press this without putting your hand on this yellow. You just press the yellow, the green button. Okay, so we will begin the countdown. So we start from 10. Count with me. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and now you can press. That is, wow. It looks good, and we'll ask the team that is here. This is complimentary. It is not wasteful. It is a complimentary that we got from our host, KICC, recognizing that the CS is doing his maiden launch. And so we will ask the CS maybe to cut it. Okay. There is a photo to be taken. I want to request my DJ Mwenda. Are you okay? Hapo huwezi tosha. Unaangalia hapa. I hope we have a number. Do we have many so that we can ask the accounting officers to come down and receive these documents from the CS, the few who are there. So you can just quickly, accounting officers present, please walk down to the podium so that the CS can distribute these documents to you. Yes, there is a county government budget preparation manual. We also have the national government budget preparation manual, and we have the guidelines in form of a booklet, and so you can just distribute it freely. Yes. Thank you, our Auditor General. At least we have given instructions on what to be audited. We have COB here, so COB you can also move. Office of the Control of Budget. Please, yes. Give them to the CS to be shaking hand with the Control of Budget. That is a representative of the Office of the Control of Budget. Okay, then we have OPCS, so you can also take a photo. Just pass over the books to, right? Good. So without measuring, feel free, just shake the hand. We will take another 2 minutes to take a photo with the CES National Treasury as you receive the books. And once you have received the books, you can clear you can go back to your seats so that we decongest this place. Okay? So we have enough copies that you can pick as you leave the place, for those ones who have not managed to get. And